Good morning, students. Welcome back to our economics second year classes here. Okay, so as we have started with our agriculture sector, we have completed with the important questions such as causes for low productivity in agriculture, green revolution, NABARD and its functions. So in the same chapter, we have few more 5 marks questions, which are very important from exam point of view. So today we will continue with that questions. So the next question you have to prepare for your exam is causes for rural indebtedness. Means what is rural indebtedness? What are the causes for rural indebtedness? What measures government has taken for rural indebtedness? Just see, indebted means what? Debts. Debts which are taken by the rural poor, that is increasing year by year. Why? In rural areas, the main reason is that most of the people go to money lenders for debts. Means when they need money, when they need credit, they because mostly in India we can see that institutional sources of finance in rural areas are less compared to that of urban areas. So as there is a lack of institutional sources, people of rural areas used to depend on money lenders for credit. So when they are taking the credit, these money lenders used to charge high rate of interest for the finance what they have taken, and in time if they don't pay, there again they will charge double interest, triple interest and all. So these all resulted in increasing debts of the poor people in the rural areas. Though how much ever income they are earning, that is not sufficient. That was not sufficient to clear the debts. Now let us see what are the causes for these rural areas. So generally, if you see, when you are writing the introduction, you can write here about 70% of population are living in villages. 70% of people are living in villages and they borrow money for unproductive purpose. Unproductive purpose means what? Which is not useful. Why they are borrowing money? They are borrowing for unproductive purposes. So they are unable to repay the old debts. And they are unable to repay old debts. So this resulted in increasing debts of the rural poor. Okay, so here and also we can say there are less institutional sources, so they used to go to money lenders. So that is the reason we can find in India these indebtedness are more, especially in the rural areas. Why? Because they borrow money for unproductive purpose, they are unable to repay the old debts, and very less institutional sources in rural areas, and they depend mostly on money lenders. So due to this reason, the debts of the people in rural areas are increasing. So now let us see the causes for rural indebtedness. One by one, what are the reasons for rural indebtedness? The first cause is farmers, because of their poverty, low income results in low savings, and that results in crop failures. So you can see, because of poverty, their savings level I is low, right? That is one reason, low savings, crop failures. Though they get the money, they borrow money, they invest in cultivation. If the crop failure is happening, then they are unable to recover unable to repay their old debts. So saving levels are low, they are unable to repay the debt. Crop failures are there, and because of poverty means what? their income levels are low. So that is one cause for rural indebtedness in the country. Second cause, borrowing funds for, they borrow for improvement in land. Most of the farmers, they are borrowing the money from the money lenders for improvement in the land. Like as we have seen, a low productivity because of the land degradation. Land is degraded. Why? Because of overutilization of pesticides, chemical fertilizers and all. The land has degraded. Now, to get excess production, they should make certain improvements in the land. Soil fertility should be improved over here. So for all these improvements, they are borrowing the money. Means not for investment purpose, just for improvement purpose, they are borrowing. So that is increasing the debt burden on the farmers here. And borrow funds for unproductive purpose. Borrow funds for unproductive purpose. Means they are borrowing not only for production purpose, but also they borrow for like celebrations, any celebration they want to do, or any festivals they want to celebrate. For all these also, they are borrowing the money, which is not useful, right? So that is also increasing the burden of debts on the farmers. And debt inheritance of parents. Debt inheritance of parents or previous generation, any debt is there, that is continuing for next generation, which is increasing the debt burden on that particular people. And depending on non-institutional sources, dependence on non-institutional sources of finance. Who are non-institutional sources of finance? Money lenders, private money lenders. When people go to private money lender for borrowing funds, main thing, they charge high interest rate, and if you are unable to repay the debt, it double amount they will charge as an interest, and they may mortgage the land. They may take over the land or your assets, whatever you have mortgaged with them. So that is main drawback of depending on non-institutional sources, money lenders. And inadequate support prices for the crops. Though the production is done, inadequate support prices for the crop. Though they have done the production, they have produced the crop and all, still if they do not get good remunerative prices or good support prices, so whatever the investments they have done, they are unable to recover the investment if they don't get proper support prices for their crops. So inadequate support prices for the crops. Also, we can say increasing cost of cultivation. Increasing cost of cultivation. Cost of cultivation, how it is increasing? Because when we use that labor charges are increasing. When we are using some machinery or technology cost is more. Fertilizers cost have increased, seeds cost have increased. With all these, for the farmers, cost of cultivation has increased. Where though they borrow the money, though they earn income from the production of crops, they are unable to recover their debts. So these are the main causes for rural indebtedness. Means in rural areas, as people borrow money for unproductive purpose, they borrow from non-institutional sources, and also they are unable to repay their old debts. The debt burden on people are increasing. So the main causes for rural indebtedness is, one is poverty. Poverty means what? Their income levels are low. When they are below the poverty level, their savings are also less. And crop failures is also one more reason for debt over here. And borrow funds for improvement in land. As there is a problem of land degradation, to improve the land, they are borrowing the money. So that is again an additional burden to the farmers in the people in the rural areas. They are borrowing funds for unproductive purpose, which has not usage. Like they are borrowing funds for celebrations or festivals or something like that, which is not productive. And debt inheritance of the parents, whatever the debts which are done by the earlier generation, that is previous generation by their parents or grandparents, that debt is still continuing. It is becoming a burden for the rural poor. Dependence on non-institutional sources of finance. Most of the rural people, as there are lack of institutional sources of finance, they are depending on non-institutional sources of finance. Means they are, because banks or regional banks are not available more during before 90s like that in India. That's why they used to depend mostly on money lenders. As money lenders charge more interest rate, they exploit the farmers. That is the reason debts are increasing. And inadequate support prices for the crops. Though the crop production is done by the farmers, farmers are not able to receive the proper support prices. Good remunerative support prices are not given. That is one reason for debts. And increasing cost of cultivation. As the inputs cost have increased, the cost of cultivation have increased. So these are the causes for rural indebtedness in India. So these causes, this will be your 5 marks question. Causes for rural indebtedness. So this is about one question of rural indebtedness. Now, next question we are going to discuss, that is your second question is defects in agriculture marketing. Defects in agriculture marketing. Just see here, agriculture marketing. Marketing means what? Marketing means from the point of production, we are supplying the commodity to the point of consumption. In between, whatever the activities are carried on, those activities are called marketing activities. So, there is a defect in our agricultural marketing. When farmers are producing the output, they are unable to market them. They are not able to supply as per the demand, and they are unable to get the proper returns to their production. So now we will see what defects we have in our Indian agricultural marketing, especially in the rural areas. What are the proper, generally whenever we want to market our products, what we require? We require proper infrastructure facilities, right? Such as we need warehouses to store our goods. We need transportation facilities. Also, we need information about the market and the prices and proper grading system. So, when these facilities, when these infrastructure facilities are available, marketing can be done in a proper way. Whereas in India, if we observe, all the people in rural areas, especially the farmers, are facing the marketing problem. What defects we have in this marketing? Okay, so storage facilities, what are the defects we have? Lack of storage facilities. This is one problem we face in agricultural marketing, because whatever the agricultural products are produced, they cannot be utilized all at a time, because agricultural is completely a seasonal basis. We won't get throughout the year. For example, if you take rice or wheat or maize, vegetables, whatever it may be, throughout the year, production is not possible. Only in season, we will get the output. So what we have to do throughout the year, when we want to supply according to the demand, proper storage has to be there. So storage, that is our warehousing facilities, are very less in rural areas. When there are no storage facilities available to them, farmers had to sell the complete output at a time because they do not have storage facilities. So they have to sell all the products at a time, and surplus they are producing also. They are not getting proper price for their commodity because demand will be normal. But as you have produced everything, supply will be high. When supply is more than demand, automatically price decreases because lack of storage facilities. Here you can see supply is greater than demand, which reduced the price of the production. So the prices for the products will be decreasing because of lack of storage facilities. And another problem, another defect we can see here is no proper transport facility. So the next problem, inadequate transport facility. So here, as this agriculture is done in rural areas, but it will be supplied throughout the country. When supply of agricultural output is done, proper transportation facilities has to be there. Means when the farmer is producing in one particular place, from that place to the market, transportation is very essential. But if you see in rural areas in India, the transportation facility is not sufficient, and farmer is forced to sell the goods to the local traders or money lenders. They are selling in the local market itself, and commission agents with lower the market price. Because of lack of transport facility, farmer is selling the product to the local people, that means in the local market, or to the commission agent or to the middlemen who are giving less prices for the farmers. So that is one problem we face in Indian agricultural marketing. And farmers are cheated by use of wrong weights and measures. If you see in the market, as we can see, most of the farmers are illiterates. They are cheated by wrong measures and weights. So, as farmers are not educated in the markets, in mandis especially, if you see, they will be cheated by wrong measurement. If the bag is of 100 kgs, they may take it, they may tell it as only 80 kgs. Means they will give price only for that. So because the farmers does not have much knowledge, they are not educated properly, these type of deceiving will be done by the people in the mandis. That is one problem which is done in the markets. And they are also cheated by brokers and traders. Farmers are cheated by brokers and traders. Mean by giving less commission or less price to their output, or they may say that this product is of not good quality. In that way, they may give less price. So this way, farmers are cheated by brokers and traders, not only by wrong weights and measurement. Also, we can see here the farmer has to pay weighing charges, farmers has to pay weighing charges unloading charges, which is a burden to the farmer because they have to bear all these expenses, and also separate charges are made for separation of impurities. Charges for separation of impurities. Additional charges, additional expenses are bared by the by these farmers, where they have to pay weighing charges. If in the market, if the measurement is done, if the production is weighed, measured, they have to pay charges extra for that. Unloading charges from one truck to another truck or something like that to the market, unloading charges have to be paid to the labor, and charges for separation of impurities have to be paid by the farmers, and other unspecified charges and all are the main problems in the marketing in Indian agriculture system. Then another problem what the farmers are facing in marketing activity is that lack of proper grading system. Lack of proper grading system. Grading system. Why we do grading of the products here? Because whenever the output is sold in the market, good quality product will have good grading, and when the product means they will grade it depending on the type of the product, depending on the quality of the product, grading will be given. If the product is of high grade, that means good quality, price will be high. So in an Indian agricultural marketing, there is lack of proper grading system, due to which farmers are getting less remunerative prices for their production. So these are the defects in our agricultural marketing. You can see the defects in agriculture marketing. Lack of storage facilities, because whatever the output is produced by the farmer, they have to supply them in the market. When there is no storage, everything supply will be more than the demand, so price decreases. Inadequate transport facility. Due to lack of transport facilities in the rural areas, farmers are forced to sell their products in the local market, or they are forced to sell their products to the local, we can say middlemen or commission agents, where they will give them less remunerative prices. As we have seen in India, as a developing economy, there is lack of infrastructure. Transportation, communication are very or not sufficient enough. Okay, so that is one problem facing in marketing. Another problem is farmers are mostly cheated by wrong measures and weights here, because as we can see, most of the farmers are not educated properly. They will not have much idea about the machines, weighing machines, what they are using. So there is a chance, there is a possibility of these people in the mandis, middlemen, brokers and all, they are cheating them with the wrong measurements and wrong weights, and also cheated by brokers and traders by taking by charging high commission, and by saying that this is of not good quality, they may give less remunerative prices for their output. And farmers has to pay additional charges. They are bearing more expenses than expected. So the expenses include weighing charges. When the weight measurement is done, they have to pay separate charges for that. Unloading charges have to be paid. Charges for separation of impurities have to be made. So these all have increased the expenditure to the farmer, where farmer feel that it is a burden to him to sell in the market. So, and lack of proper grading system for these agricultural products. As the grading system is not done, the quality of the product, they are not differentiating the grading. These remunerative prices are less to the production. Okay, to the agricultural output. So these are the defects in agricultural marketing in India. Storage facilities are less, transportation facilities not sufficient, as farmers are illiterate, they are cheated by middlemen, brokers and traders, and farmers have to bear the additional expenses like weighing charges, unloading charges and all. And because of no proper grading system, there is no proper remunerative prices to the farmers. So these are all the defects what we find in our agricultural marketing. So in order to overcome these defects, our government has taken certain measures such as regulated markets were set up. Regulated markets where you can see now we have Raitu Bazaars or regulated markets we are having, where farmers are not cheated by the middlemen. And also grading system was introduced. Farmers can grade their product, means high grade, good quality. They can differentiate the quality and they can get the good remunerative prices for their product. And by introducing various warehousing facilities in the country, warehousing also introduced, that was like through Central Warehousing Corporation, which was introduced in our country, where they will increase the warehousing facilities, especially in the rural areas. So now this storage facilities is taken care by FCI, Food Corporation of India, which was set up to provide storage facilities in the rural areas. And market information is provided. Support prices are given through CACP and other measures like transportation, banking, all the measures, infrastructure facilities have been increased to provide better marketing facilities to the farmers. So only for your 5 marks, only defects will be asked for 5 marks. That's why I'm not expanding more of this answer with measure. So only these many points you write down for your 5 marks, that's enough. Okay, defects in agricultural marketing. Okay, now the next answer 5 marks question we will discuss here, that is agricultural pricing policy. So your next 5 marks question will be, your next 5 marks question will be objectives of agricultural pricing policy. So here, as our government has introduced a pricing policy, why? Because in our country, most of the farmers are suffering from, as they are not getting proper remunerative prices, proper support prices are not given to them. So the new agricultural pricing policy was done, where minimum support price and maximum support price will be fixed up by the government. So how these prices are fixed up here? CACP was set up to fix up the prices. CACP, it is a Commission for Agricultural Cost and Price. CACP is responsible for pricing agricultural product. CACP is what? Committee for, it is a Commission for Agricultural Cost and Price. It is a Commission for Agricultural Cost and Price. So the main aim of this CACP is to set up minimum support price and maximum support price, where farmers can get the good remunerative prices for their production. So what are the objectives? They have introduced this pricing policy. This pricing policy differs from one country to another country, right? So here in developed countries, the major objective of pricing policy is to prevent drastic fall in agricultural income. But in developing economies, it is for various reasons the pricing policy was introduced. Now let us see what are all the objectives of these agricultural pricing policy. To meet the domestic consumption requirements. To meet the domestic consumption requirements. That means whatever the pricing for agricultural products are done, it should be used or it should be proper enough for local consumption. Means whatever the charges are there, it should be bared by the local, means domestic people within the country. All the people should be in a should consume these goods. Like that, pricing will be done to provide price stability in the market. To provide price stability in the market. Price stability is provided means fluctuations in the prices. Generally, we see certain agricultural commodities. Suddenly, the price will increase. Suddenly, the price will decrease, which will have an impact on the consumption levels of the people. Inflation may be caused. So, to control that, to have a stable price in the country for all the agricultural commodities, pricing policy was introduced by CACP for price stability and reasonable prices of, so there should be a relation to have a reasonable relation between price of food grains and non-food grains. Generally, here we are having cash crops and food grains we have, right? Food grains means which we use for direct consumption, like our wheat, rice and all. Non-food grains, like which are not used for consumption. Food, it is not used as a food, like cotton, jute, all these, which are used for commercial purpose. So both the farmers should get benefit, right? Means only the farmers who are cultivating food grains, if they get high remunerative prices, the farmers who cultivate non-food grains will not get remunerative prices. So this pricing policy was introduced in such a way that there is a reasonable relation between the price of both food grains and non-food grains. Means equal proper support prices are given to both food grains as well as non-food grains. And also here, to have smooth seasonal and cyclical fluctuations in price of agricultural commodities, to ensure smooth and cyclical fluctuations in agricultural commodities. Because all the agricultural goods are seasonal based. We don't get them throughout the year. So when there are fluctuations, prices should not be disturbed. Same price is provided. For example, you see rice. Rice will be produced 2 times in a year, but we consume them throughout the year. Every day we consume them. So when we are purchasing them, like in season one price, unseason one price, that should not be there. So one price will be fixed. That is the main objective of agricultural pricing policy. Okay. So to ensure that these fluctuations in the agricultural will not affect the price of agricultural commodities, and to remove price differences, between the regions. Now, one region have one price, like wherever we get the output, in that region price is less. Wherever we don't get, means, for example, if rice is produced in Haryana, right, there the price is less, but rice is not produced in Tamil Nadu, so there the price is high. Such differences should not be there. That's why the total output will be purchased by FCI, that is Food Corporation of India, and then make sure that throughout the country these products are available and there is no price difference between the regions. Also here, to make available food to consumers at the time of shortage. To make available food to consumers at the time of shortage. During the shortage, when crop failures are there, when climatic conditions are affecting the crop production, during the time of shortage, food is made available to all the people at proper remunerative prices. Best example we can say during this pandemic, during this lockdown and all, government has provided the essential food items at normal prices to all the people throughout the country, so that it may not have impact on the consumption levels of the people. So that is one aim of the pricing policy, and also to increase the production and export of agricultural products. To increase production of agricultural commodities and export, because it is contributing towards our economic development. So as India is exporting agricultural goods also, as the production is increased, we can export the surplus goods to the other countries, so that it will help us in balance of trade. So to increase the production and export, to provide raw material to industry at reasonable prices. To provide raw materials to industries at reasonable prices. So with these objectives, this agricultural pricing policy was introduced in our country. So how this policy was introduced? Because there are no proper remunerative prices for the agricultural products, our government has started CACP, Commission for Agricultural Cost and Price. They have introduced this agricultural pricing policy. Generally, why pricing policy is done? This pricing policy is done for improving the consumption levels in the country. It is also helpful for our growth of our economy by exporting agricultural goods. Farmers should receive good income from the agricultural production, what they have done, and consumers also should get benefited from this. With that intention, this pricing policy was introduced in the country. You can see the objectives of this agricultural pricing policy: to meet the domestic consumption requirements, means in the country, people should be in a position to consume their food, because as we have seen, absolute poverty is one problem in the country. Absolute poverty means what? Their income is not sufficient to consume or intake the calories and food items and all we get from the agriculture. So if the pricing is done normally, all people are in a position to consume those goods. So with that intention, pricing policy was introduced. And to provide price stability in the market, when surplus agriculture production is done, price decreases. When there is a shortage of agriculture production, price increases. These fluctuations should not be there. Throughout the year, only one price should exist in the market. To make that price stability, pricing policy was introduced. One more objective: to have a reasonable relation between price of food grains and non-food grains, because some areas are suitable for food grain production, some areas are suitable for non-food grain production. So as they are producing the food grains and non-food grain, both the farmers should get benefited. For that reason, reasonable prices are provided for both food grains and non-food grain production. And to make sure the smooth and cyclical fluctuation in agricultural commodities, because depending on the season, depending on the climatic conditions, agricultural commodities cannot be made available throughout the year. But the pricing, when these goods are made available, pricing should be in such a way that whatever the season you purchase, it is of same price. Okay, that fluctuation should be avoided. To remove price differences between the regions, right? To make available food to consumers at the time of shortage. With this pricing policy, their aim, their objective is to provide the food to the consumers at the time of shortage, and as they give proper remunerative prices, agricultural production will increase. As there is a surplus production in agriculture, we can see the goods, agricultural goods can be exported, through which farmers can get good income for their production. To provide raw materials to the industries at reasonable prices, as we all know, some of the industries, like we have agro-based industries, which are depending on agriculture. So that is also a big industry in the big market in the country. So for them, raw materials are provided to the industries at reasonable prices. So these are the objectives of agriculture pricing policy. So with this, we have done with the main questions of this chapter. Main important questions. Just see here. One is rural indebtedness and its causes. Why the debts of rural area people are increasing? What are the causes for this rural indebtedness? Next, defects in agriculture marketing. When the farmers are marketing their goods, what are the drawbacks? What are the defects we find in our Indian agricultural marketing system? And what are the objectives of agriculture pricing policy? These are the 5 marks questions you have to prepare from this chapter. Just see the questions of this chapter, like as we have seen: low productivity in agriculture, green revolution, NABARD and its functions, defects in agriculture marketing, causes for rural indebtedness, and objectives of agricultural policy. So these questions you prepare, then this chapter 10 LAQs and SAQs are completed. Now, coming to our VSAQs of this chapter, you will be having LAQ, SAQ and VSAQ. So what are the important VSAQs you have to prepare from this chapter? First one is green revolution. What is green revolution? Like, yes, in previous class we have discussed introduction of high yield variety of seeds and chemical fertilizers to increase the production and productivity levels in the agriculture. So usage of high yield variety seeds and chemical fertilizers to increase agricultural productivity. That concept is called green revolution. It was introduced in the year in 1960s, means 1966 to 67. This concept of high yield variety seeds were introduced. So that much you write for your 2 marks question. Next you have regional rural banks. Regional rural banks. Regional rural banks are the banks which provide finance and credit facilities to the rural people. Means rural small scale industries, or also to the farmers, they provide short-term loans to the rural people. These RRBs work under NABARD. Okay. Then next you have one more important question, that is microfinance. As in previous class, I told you microfinance is important for 2 marks. Microfinance is what? Small amount, that is up to 25,000 is provided to farmers and self-employed people for meeting working capital or investment. Okay. So, and they are provided, this is also provided by NABARD through self-help groups. Okay, small amount is provided to the people of rural areas. Next you have warehousing, not warehousing, it is grading. Grading is what? Depending on the quality of the product will be graded here. So you can see government has done graded and all. Like the graded goods are stamped with the seal of AgMark, especially in agriculture. When the goods are graded, means it is of good quality, good standard and all. AgMark grade is given to them where it is of best quality and it will command better prices in the market. Another important question we have, that is CACP. CACP, Commission for Agriculture Cost and Production. This CACP was set up to provide agricultural pricing, also determines the minimum support price and procurement prices of agricultural products. Another question is buffer stock. This is important for your 2 marks. Buffer stock is what? Stock is maintained during the time of shortage. They can provide this stock to the public. Means certain surplus production when it is done, the stock will be stored in the warehouses, and this excess stock when there is a shortage, that time the stock will be supplied in the country. This buffer stock is maintained by FCI, that is Food Corporation of India. Food Corporation of India maintains the buffer stock. Storage of food grains with the purpose of moderating the price fluctuation. So, during the time of scarcity, price increases. So to reduce that problem, they have introduced the concept of buffer stock. It is taken care by FCI. Then next one we have food security. Food security means what? Availability of physical quantity of food to the people. Food security means what? In the country, all the people are secure. Security we are giving. In what way security is given? Through the food availability. When the food is available in the physical quantity, people are secured for their consumption. That concept is called as food security. So just see, food security means here, we can say availability of physical quantity of food in sufficient enough to the increasing population. That is called as food security. And another important question you have, that is FCI, Food Corporation of India. This Food Corporation of India was set up in 1965, which will procure the food grains at the prices determined by the government. Means this Food Corporation of India, as it was set up in 1965, they will procure food grains from the farmers at the price given by government. So they purchase the agricultural products from the farmers. They keep storage of these products. They sell these goods to the people through public distribution system. They make available of the food through the public distribution system to all the people who require them. So these VSAQs you prepare from this chapter, these are more than enough. Okay. So totally you are reading 2 LAQs, 4 SAQs and 8 VSAQs from this chapter, where you will be getting 1 LAQ, 2 SAQs and 2 VSAQs from the chapter. Okay. So hope you all understood these questions here. Just go through once what all questions we have discussed. Causes for rural indebtedness. Causes for rural indebtedness. Next, defects in agricultural marketing. Objectives of agriculture pricing policy. And these VSAQs. Green Revolution, regional rural banks, microfinance, grading, CSEP, buffer stock, food security, and FCI. So these VSAQs you prepare, minimum 3 lines you write about each point here. And also you can explain that answers in 1-page answer. Your SAQ should be of 1 page. So with this, we have completed our 5th chapter, that is agriculture sector. So for the previous questions, you can go through our previous videos where I have explained the LAQ. Also, your other remaining SAQ and LAQ are there. Okay. So hope so you all understood. If you have any doubts or if you have not understood any concept, you can just leave a comment so that we can discuss that in the next class. Okay. So thank you.